All right, I'm here with new St. Bonaventure assistant coach Dana Valentine. I appreciate the time. I know it's a busy time, as I'm sure you're learning, especially with college basketball now. But just how does it feel just to kind of hear that assistant coach for St. Bonaventure? I know it's a huge next chapter for you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Super excited, man. Just hearing that is a dream come true. In some ways, I've been at Putnam Science for the past 5 years, and the goal was to, move on to the Division I level as an assistant coach, and get my foot in the door. You can't plan on what level that's going to be. You just got to be ready to jump whenever that opportunity calls. And I'm happy to be landing in a great spot with Bonnie's and great staff and program with a ton of success and tradition. So I'm really excited about the opportunity.
Absolutely. And you talk about kind of that tradition success. I feel like, honestly, that St. Bonaventure, doesn't get as much credibility. Coach Schmidt, what he's been able to do, I think sometimes flies under the radar. I think it's like 6 or 7 years of the last 8 years, they've been in the top five of the Atlantic 10. Just being able to work, like I said, for a program that has been successful, specifically, within the Atlantic 10, what that means and what you can learn, as you kind of enter this next chapter.
Yeah, I mean, Mark's done an unbelievable job. His staff has done a great job over the past, since he's been here. He's been there 17 years now. And I think their first tournament appearance was in 2012 after he got the job. So it took him 4 or 5 years to turn the thing around, and they've sustained the success since 2012. Andrew Nicholson, obviously, huge part of that history. 19th pick in the draft. They've just done a great job of just continuing to build the brand and get it back to what it was when the history of like Bob Lanier and guys like that being part of St. Bonaventures is something that, like, when you get to the Riley Center, you step in the arena and you walk around and see all the cool stuff that the players that have the tradition that's there. It's just an awesome feeling just stepping into something like that. And like you said, Coach Schmidt, he's done an unbelievable job, man. And I'm just fortunate to step in and try and learn and contribute to a program that's already has had a ton of success.
No, absolutely. And you're talking about success. You obviously have had a lot of success at PSA, Putnam Science. What you've been able to do in that staff, that program, for you, obviously that's been a huge feeder for top programs throughout college basketball. Your relationships with players and how the game has changed. With NIL, you understand obviously the challenges that these kids face. Obviously, a lot more opportunity, but it's a lot more responsibility. How do you feel like you can, help, the St. Bonaventure program, but these kids kind of help make those decisions and again, get them to where they want to be?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, that's why I got into coaching was to help kids. And I think as adults and coaches, sometimes we can get lost in the chaos of the business and get away from what we're all in it for, which is to help kids. So ultimately that's our goal. And, there's going to be some guys that are fortunate enough to go to the NBA or make money playing basketball, but that's going to be a short part of your long-term life. So just getting the guys to understand that, put yourself in the best position and be around people that are going to help you accomplish your goals, not only on the court, but off the court. Just getting them to see the whole landscape of everything. And that's been something that I've been fortunate to do at Putnam Science the past 5 years. Coach Shreva, Coach Espinoza, they've built an unbelievable program here. And they've allowed me to come in and be super hands-on from day one since I've been here. So having those close relationships with the guys and understanding what the players are looking for in that next step, I think is going to help me when I get to St. Bonaventure and understanding more closely what that looks like from a high school kid's perspective, not just a college coach's perspective, because I've been in the foxhole with these guys living in the dorm for 3 years while I was here, just, helping these guys step by step with their recruiting process, some of these guys, and just really understanding what it all looks like. And it's not, I know we think basketball is at the forefront of a lot of these kids' minds, man, but they're such full individuals, man. And we just have to do a good job of coaches of trying to cover all bases and not just the basketball piece. So, a lot of kids I see are making decisions for strictly for money. And I'm never want to knock, a guy going to get their money, man, and helping their family. But at the end of the day, some of that stuff can be short term if you set yourself up for long term success, not only on the court, like I said, but off the court as well.
No, definitely. I couldn't agree more. I think too, I feel like we're in it just within college basketball in general. We're in a time period that, we'll look back 20 years from now and say, wow, that a lot was going on, right? I think everyone's kind of learning, but to have obviously that experience with the kids at the high school or prep level, I think is
Mhm.
obviously important. It's easy for people to say, "Oh, kids are doing it because of this or that," but there's a lot going on. Like you said, it's not it's not one thing. But you mentioned obviously you've been a coach for a couple of these guys now that are joining St. Bonaventure, obviously. And I
Mhm.
don't want to go through the whole roster, but just in general, you know, what are you excited about with the roster? I know, I don't know, I don't think off-season workouts have really started yet, but just with some of the guys that you're familiar with that are going to be on the squad this year.
Yeah, I mean, I watched a ton of St. Bonnie's basketball, even before joining the staff. Mark's son actually works with us here at Putnam Science Academy, Nick Schmidt. So we'll watch a couple games, and he's super into it, man. He's Bonnie's through and through. So just seeing, the team over the past few years, obviously, I wasn't here when Kyle Lofton and Oshun were at Putnam Science, but following those guys' career at Bonnie's, they had a hell of a run throughout their time at Bonnie's. And then this past year, speaking more specific to this year's roster, you're bringing back a bunch of guys that have had a ton of success. Daryl Banks has played an NCAA tournament with St. Peter's and made a good run. Moses Flowers is another kid that, has had a ton of success, a fifth-year guy. Chad Venning had an unbelievable year last year, and we expect him to take another big step. Kyrell Luke, so you're bringing back majority of your, scoring and minutes at some key positions. And then you got guys like Barry Evans that should take a step forward. And then you add firepower with Charles Pride and Micah Adams Woods and Dwayne Thompson. I'm not putting anything out there that people haven't seen, man. It looks great on paper, and I'm super excited about the roster that we've been able to put together. But you don't win games on paper, man. So our guys understand that you got to put in the work, and our staff and everybody has to put in that work from now until the season and continue to prove ourselves, man, because we haven't done anything yet.
No, absolutely. Listen, I'm super excited for obviously the continued success of Bonnie's basketball. Like I said, I think it's something that has flown under the radar a little bit, but excited for this next year. Have you caught a game? Have you been to a game? At
I
Bonnie's?
haven't,
Uh,
not at the Riley Center. I've seen them on the road and things like that, but I haven't caught a game at the Riley Center. So just being in there, my first couple of days on the job, man, just being in the arena, like you can feel the energy. Like it's a unique place. Like it was my first time getting up to campus a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, damn, like you can really feel the passion around the program. Like everywhere you go, like there's a ton of support. Like these dudes are treated like rock stars. And Olean, there's no, professional sports team. The Bills are an hour and a half away, but there's the biggest show in town, man. And, it's a good thing. Our guys embrace it. The community embraces our program. And like I said, Mark being there for 17 years, he walks around there and it's just like another regular guy. It's not a big time, far-fetched thing to see coach walking through town and just having some breakfast with his family or, getting some food downtown or whatever. He's, a super personable guy. So I think the community takes great pride in the program. And like I said, our guys take great pride in, representing St. Bonaventures across their chest every night.
Definitely. No, it's a top arena when that place gets going. I think I do. I did this thing 2 minutes in the 8-10. I think it was Marcus Camby. I think Lamar Odom, Barron. I would say 90% of the guys that I talk to, when I say toughest place to play in the 8-10, it's always Bonnie. They can get you. They're on top of you. They get personal and they're into it. They're
Yeah.
passionate. So it's I'm looking
Chris
forward.
Lowe, who's on our staff, was at UMass, and he
Yeah.
speaks to it all the time. Just like as a player, he's able to give some insight and say, "Man, like I'm not just saying it because I'm working here." He's told our guys, like when I was around, and just said like it's just different. Like when you get in that arena, and especially like those huge 8-10 battles, man, it's a tough league. We're gonna be tested every night, but just having that home court advantage is huge, man. So I'm really looking forward to just some of those battles night in and night out in the 8-10, and again, just representing the Olean community in a positive way through the basketball program.
Absolutely. Well, listen, coach, I call that, well, you've been a coach, but, college coach, it's, like I said, I know it's probably an exciting time, obviously, for you, but I appreciate it and looking forward to kind of you guys building next season.
Absolutely. I appreciate your time, Nate.